Yeah, I believe it. I don't believe in lucky sevens. I'm not sure about Loch Ness, but I know I believe in angels. I believe in happiness.
Good evening, everybody. Here we are, another great show, and I am so excited to have all of you with us. I have a really talented lady connected with us this evening, and we're going to get to her in just a moment. First up, I'd love to give a shout out to the sponsor. Good evening, Steve. It's wonderful to see you. Yes, Erin will be with us in just a moment. So hang tight because she has a great project to tell us about, as well as some of the things that she's also completed. I could just go on and on. We had a great green room experience just a moment ago. So wonderful to see you, Steve. All right, so Kogo Coco has been a friend of mine for quite a while. I want to go straight to their website because they have a wonderful product that I hope all of you will give a try. This is a company. I always talk about the wonderful interview that I did with the founder and creator of Kogo Coco. It was a phone interview, no video whatsoever, on an encrypted line because he was still active military. And this product was designed to go along with their MREs. But the MREs, those are the meals that you would have out in the field for an active military member. And they're not always the most homey, yummy things that you can find. So he created caffeine product, a full load of caffeine in cocoa, nice, hot or cold, rich cocoa that tastes so wonderful. And trust me, my studio, even though it's the middle of summer here in Atlanta, it's hot, hot, hot. But I wish I had some Kogo Coco with me because it tastes so great and it's going to keep me going all night long, right? So Kogo Coco is soy-free. In a 6-ounce cup of cocoa, you get 98 milligrams of caffeine. That is one full cup of coffee load of caffeine. And I want to make sure that you're able to write down the name of where to go to find this. It is COGOCOCOA.com, KogoCoco.com. It is U.S. Armed Forces veteran developed and owned USA company. Kogo Coco is richer, creamier hot chocolate made with premium cocoa, wholesome non-fat dairy milk, and zero artificial sweeteners. You can purchase this on Amazon. They also have it, of course, on their home website of KogoCoco.com. Make sure that you get some now. They actually ran out last winter. So go ahead and get some right now. Hold on to it. It has a very long shelf life. I'm trying to remember exactly how long because that was one of the questions that I asked. But you can go over to the Binge networks and watch season 1 or Amazon Prime. We are now on Amazon Prime Video. So look up Elizabeth Cooper or the Caffeinated Cooper show on Amazon under Amazon Prime Video, or Elizabeth Cooper. That works too. That's where I was leading, but the Caffeinated Cooper show would be wonderful. And make sure that you go over to YouTube and subscribe. Ring our little bell because you get to be interactive with these shows and you get to ask our guest questions. And I'm going to bring you in there so that we will always see who you are and what's on your mind. And everybody, I love it so much. All right, so let's get into the guest this evening. She is really dynamic. She is highly awarded. She is highly skilled. And that's what I love about so many of our friends out in Los Angeles and all around the world, really. They're wonderful, actors and actresses, but they also have singing voices. They have so many other talents. And that's just phenomenal. So we have Erin Carere connected with us, whose film Spy vs. Spia is currently in the film festival circuit. She is an amazing singer and has a unique gift of always finding four-leaf clovers. I've never even found one, right? I looked and looked. I searched in Ireland. I couldn't find one, but she is truly gifted. Erin Carere has co-written and stars in the new film Spy vs. Spia, an action comedy that tells the story of two rival international spies who join forces against an evil organization only to discover secrets about their past, their future, and their hearts. It stars Erin and her husband, Italian actor Carlo Carere, who co-wrote the script. Using her background as a singer and songwriter, Erin shows her musical skills as well as her comedic talents to play opposite her husband, Carlo's no-nonsense spy character. Known for her work in dramas and lighthearted comedies, Erin is at home as a clever foil to Carlo's hard-boiled spy persona. The movie comes as a culmination of Erin's own work that has included stand-up comedy, live concerts, music singles, stage plays, as well as films and television series where she often played the pretty girl or ingenue. Erin is an award-winning screenwriter, actress, singer, and playwright whose own one-woman show, Stand-Upera, earned rave reviews during its run in Los Angeles. And without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Erin Carere. How are you this evening?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. How are you? Thank you so much for that great intro.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for being so dynamic. You give me so many different talking points for a wonderful intro. So I've got to ask about Spy versus Spia. I did do my homework. I watched the trailer, and everybody, we're going to show the trailer really, really soon. But it is so dynamic and funny, dynamic in comedy. Is your husband also, does he have a comedy background, or what is his background to come together with yours?
Well, to be honest, a little bit. But actually, he started out in life as a carabinieri. If you're not familiar with that, it's roughly the Italian equivalent of the FBI. And he grew up in Naples, Italy. He went to military school. He became an officer of the carabinieri, rose to the ranks of captain, where he pursued mafia and domestic terrorism crimes. He actually once caught one of Italy's most wanted. And when he was in his late 20s, he decided to leave that field of work. He published and began writing and acting. And he published 3 novels in Italy. And here's where I'm getting to the comedy part. He actually did end up being cast as a series regular on one of Italy's longest running shows, which is called Don Matteo, which is with Terence Hill. If you remember Terence Hill, the actor, great blue-eyed actor. Most Americans know him from My Name is Trinity and My Name is Still Trinity. But so he has done some comedy, but I will say that one of his amazing is, thank you for that intro, as you described, is sort of his hard-boiled detective persona, sort of a bit of a straight man. You know what, though? He has a secret ability to be sort of like an Italian Mr. Bean. And I someday want to write a project with him where he gets to be kind of a Mr. Bean because he can do this physical comedy. It just started coming out of him while we were shooting Spy vs. Spia. And I was like, well, who knew?
I have to ask, how did you meet?
Well, years ago when I was deciding if I went back to school to finish a little bit of my opera degree, and I was deciding if I wanted to be a proper opera singer, right? Go get my master's degree, move to Berlin or Rome, pursue opera. Truly, to be an opera singer is sort of like being an Olympian. You must train at a very high level. And when I came back to Los Angeles from New York, I wasn't really sure if I was going to do opera, go get my master's, really do that if I wanted to do classical pop crossover. I had a record deal with an independent label here called Spin Out Records, and I had released one album with them. And I just really was sort of at a crossroads with my life. Anyhow, one of the things a manager I had met with in New York told me was that I needed to work on a few technical parts of my voice and improve my conversion to Italian. And I was at the Coffee Bean, which I'm pointing because it used to be right around the corner, although it's no longer there. And I overheard an Italian, and it was Carlo. And so we met, and I started basically working on my Italian with him, and the rest is history. 10 years later.
Oh, wow. See, did you just go up to him and say, I'd really like to brush up on my Italian. Can you help me?
Basically. Basically, yes.
I love it. Oh, just go after it and seize the moment, right?
I have to tell you, most of my life, I've never been afraid to ask people out. And the older I got, this actually came into play in I've done 2 different one-woman shows, but this came into play in them, where I actually had to learn to be a bit more demure. And in the long run, I don't think it's like Carlo and I here's an example. Carlo and I once were at a flea market, and we found this book called The Rules. Are you familiar with The Rules? It's a book about, how as the woman, you should not call him. You should wait for him to call. You don't have to answer if he calls. If he calls and asks for a date tonight, the answer is no. He must call several days in advance to make a date. All things that when Carlo and I read this book together, he said, you know what? For 99.99% of my friends, this is true. This is what a woman should do. And then he goes, but when you and I met, you didn't do any of this. And I was like, I know. This is not my MO. I don't follow the rules. No way, no how. So, yes, I have never had a problem walking up to somebody I fancied and saying, hello, I'm Erin. But what I did learn to do is to maybe take my time a little bit and pace myself a little bit. So.
We have somebody here connected, Steve. He's saying, I followed Erin Carere online for over a decade, going back to when she was just a singer. She still rocks. Her plus Carlo.
Thank you, Steve. Steve is great.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for watching. So, yes, the Book of Rules, my mother tried to drill it into us. And even my brother, he's like, oh no, if she does this, then she's fast. You
right.
A different one. And so, it's kind of like I knew the book existed. I never sought out the book because I had like the live version, the live like 4D version of it. And I'm like, ugh. And I think at one point I finally broke through and I'm like, I'm going to do everything opposite because this isn't working. So it's
right.
Such a lighthearted, wonderful story. Thank you so much. Usually I don't ask about people's love lives and romantic existence, but because Spy versus Spia is a husband and wife, what is it like to work with your husband on set?
Well, I mean, we have taken the knives out of the house. No, I am just kidding. That is a joke. That out of context. I got to be careful. Carlo and I, we started writing together years ago now, partially because it was a way that we could actually spend more time together because we were both very busy with our respective projects. And as artists or just people, everyone's got a busy life these days. It really actually worked out. We started writing scripts together. We produced Spy versus Spia together. We're producing another project together. And I think that one of the reasons it works out between the two of us is because we really respect each other's talents. We really understand each other's ambitions and dreams and goals and hopes. And we both have been artists long enough to know that, the road is not straight. The road is windy. It takes time. Some things work, some things don't. That said, in the beginning, we were a lot more careful with each other, whereas now we sort of have a shorthand for how we want to speak to each other. We're never rude or disrespectful ever. It's just that we get each other very fast. So that part has really come in handy. When we were working on Spy versus Spia together on set, when we were filming, because we're antagonists, it's sort of like moonlighting. You remember the show Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis? So it's sort of like moonlighting, but with spies. You know, it's a love-hate, push-pull relationship. So I actually sort of had to lean in a little bit to my frustrations as an actor. But every once in a while, I got to tell you, he was so cute. I just would sort of forget and just kind of let myself fall in love with him all over again. So I don't know if that explains what it was like, but it was kind of really wonderful.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a great technique, really, that you've given so many of us out there that are married, of just getting into that moment with the person that you love. And that's so beautiful. I mean, like, I need tissue. Yes,
Well,
exactly. Michael
you
was
know.
saying,
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, yeah, we have people commenting saying, oh, how sweet. So let's take a look at, every project does have a certain amount of steps, and the creation, the planning, the funding. What was the easiest part, and what was the biggest challenge out of Spy versus Spia?
What a great question. So the easiest part, there were a few easiest parts, but I would say because Carlo and I were looking for something we could film together, something we could do together. And we had filmed an audition, like a very short film as an audition in which we played a couple on a first date that was not going well. And when I watched that back a couple years after we had filmed it, I was surprised at how much heat and sexiness there was, but also how funny we were as natural antagonists. And I thought, well, there is something there. So what is a job we could have where we have kind of this love-hate relationship? And it just sort of came to me. I mean, International Spies. He's
Right.
Italian. I'm American, but I have opera skills and language skills. So the idea itself came fast. And the writing of it wasn't easy, but it was fun. It was a joy because we did a lot of study of some of the classic screwball comedies and some of our top favorite romantic comedies. And we really dug into the structure of romantic comedies and why certain characters are there. What is a Bellamy, which for those of you who don't know, a Bellamy named for Ralph Bellamy, who was an actor who played the roles a lot, is sort of the other guy character who's the nice, safe choice that your mother wants the girl to have, but is like totally wrong on the heat level. Anyway, so that part was so fun and wonderful. And then when we were filming, and even we rehearsed quite a bit before we filmed, working with the director was just so much fun. And everybody on set was so talented. The hard parts, the insanely hard parts. First of all, we did Kickstarter. And if anyone has ever done or has never done a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, a crowdfunding, it is a full-time job, and it requires a certain amount of, dare I say, shamelessness to be willing to reach out to people and say, will you please give me money for my romantic comedy? I promise it's going to be great. We worked really hard to keep up with people. One of the things that was actually the most popular perk was, I will sing my thank you to the theme of any song you want. And people chose everything from the habanera from the opera Carmen to songs by Queen. And I would sing thank you, like in all these different styles. The other very hard part is once we had filmed it, it took a long time to get a cut. There was a problem with the first editor, a lot of different sort of communication issues, and then we couldn't get the footage for a little while. So when we finally got the footage back, I reached out to a new editor, a friend of mine, just in time for the COVID quarantine. And the footage got locked in his office at the school where he teaches. And it took a while before he could get into the office. So like everybody, COVID really interrupted a lot of what we were doing. But eventually we prevailed, and we kept working at it and working at it and working at it. It just took a long time in the post-production process to really get it right, to really get the sound right, the light right, the edit right, the everything for the story to be the best that it could be. And then these are the things that they don't necessarily tell you about crowdfunding or film school or anytime you make a project. Every phase takes the time it takes. So then even once you've finished your edit and you've got the film where you want it and you've tested it and everybody in the production staff agrees, then you have to bring it to, depending what you're doing, festivals, which is what we're doing. So then there's the applying to the festivals and working to get into festivals. And do you fit what they're trying to highlight this year? You know, are you the right length and the right cast and the right theme? All of these different parameters that when you made the film, when you came up with the film, when you came up with the project, you weren't necessarily thinking, oh, in 2022, they're going to want a lot of projects about such and such. So I'm so thrilled that we're finally now entering festival season. We will be having our world premiere at an Oscar qualifying, BAFTA qualifying, Canadian Film Awards qualifying festival in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Shorts International Film Festival, June 27th in the afternoon blocks. So I'm very excited about that. And then we have a few other festivals coming up after that so far.
So June 27th of 2023?
July 27th of 2022. So I think that's like 2 weeks.
That is. Okay. All right. Well, congratulations on that. I mean, congratulations on everything, really, because it sounds like, albeit it takes a long time to birth a new project. From what I was listening to, it sounds like all of the filming of this was done before the pandemic. So you didn't have to go through all of the protocols and the testing and oh my goodness, that has really cost a lot in funding and a lot in time, hasn't it, for the new structure of filming?
Yes, depending on the production, the COVID budget will take up a considerable portion of the budget.
Yeah.
And as much as we'd like it to go away, it seems that it is not. Yeah. And of course, there's the other obstacle there, which is you test, you know, I've done a couple of jobs now post-COVID as an actor, and you test, of course, 48 hours before, 72 hours before, and you just sort of like, you know, of course you do your best to avoid being COVID positive, but if you are not, then there's the last minute replacements and you might lose a job. And also, I will say for some lucky folks, they've maybe been able to slip into a job because somebody tested COVID positive and they were just in the right place at the right time. So it might be handy for some folks. But yes, it's been a considerable amount of time and budget.
All right. Well, I have the trailer right here. It's cued. Would you mind if we show the trailer of Spy vs. Spia?
I would love it. Thank you.
All right. This is the trailer for Spy vs. Spia with Erin Carere and Carlo Carere.
Carlo il Bello, famous Italian spy.
Spia, Italian for spy, but I am retarded.
Retired my ass!
Irina Volkan, Russian opera singer, aka Harry Anderson, American Spy.
A user in the Spy On chat room named The Real Chuck Barris reported that a new evil organization was forming in Los Angeles, right under our noses. I'll be watching you.
And I'll be watching you.
And I'll be watching you, watching me, watching you.
I'm confused.
I don't know what he said, but fellatio porn camp. That sounds awesome.
What? You were married to that?
How dare you! I am Irina Volka, celebrated soprano. I make harder the prison guards, harder! I could never date a spy. Lying is the job. If he's lying about where he's going, what his mission is, what else is he lying about?
I love it.
Thank you.
That is hilarious. The jokes the puns, innuendos. Is that a collaboration between both you and Carlo? Did he bring some of the funny, or where did?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, we work together on punching up jokes and coming up with jokes and material. We originally had written this as a web series that would give the feel of a romantic comedy film if watched all together. Now what it is it's actually an independent television pilot. We are hoping as we go to festivals that we will sell as a series. But it certainly is the case that Carlo really helped me bring out the funny, especially for the Italian jokes and the fish out of water jokes. So thank you.
It is really, I cannot wait to see it. So take us through for some viewers out there that might not quite understand, where can they view it? You had mentioned it is in the film festival circuit, and then it is going to the LA, announce it again because I didn't write it down. The LA Shorts Festival.
So it's called the LA Shorts International Film Festival. A lot of words, but there are very many different festivals in Los Angeles. So LA Shorts International, and that will be our premiere. Once it has premiered there, we're hoping to get it into film festivals, Atlanta, Minneapolis, New York, couple of places in Italy. First, places that are buyers markets where people may want to put it out as a series, buy it as a series. I don't know, where, Netflix, we're available, and whatever. So after that, first of all, once it premieres, people who contributed to the Kickstarter will also get a link so they can watch it. Our Kickstarters were half from the US, half from Italy. Well, okay, 45% US, 45% Italy, and then give or take a few from, say, the UK or Canada. So we'll be sending links so those Kickstarters will be able to watch it. Then, once it's finished its festival run, depending on what happens with, selling it to a streamer or whatever ends up happening, then we'll put it on YouTube and we'll get it on a couple of other platforms. There's different platforms that will that we have a relationship with, so that even as a shorter piece, it will be available for people to view.
Thank you so much. You answered that so eloquently, because that is exactly what my question was, although I fumbled through that question a little bit. Thank you, because I knew that people such as Michael, who's watching, want to know, where can they see it? So it's going to take a little while, but it will be out there. What would be the best place for people to check on the regular to find out how is it doing in the film festival circuit? When could it possibly come out to streaming or Netflix or wherever it may land? What would be that avenue to check all the time?
Well, the first one is spyvspia.com. There is a website which we update whenever we have news. If you follow me on social media, you will also hear right away, like, oh my goodness, we got into such and such festival. Yay. And also some festivals are online. So because we have a Spy vs. Spia mailing list, which you can find via spyvspia.com, or just check in with me on Instagram. Whenever it's online, you too can buy a ticket, or if it's free, depending on the nature of the festival, you'll be able to watch it online. And there are so many festivals that have gone hybrid. Last year I attended the Nashville Film Festival online. It's amazing. I think Sundance and South by Southwest and many other festivals of all sizes are doing the hybrids. It just makes so much sense, because now that we have gotten used to doing, like, I'm here, you're there, we're having this amazing conversation, we can do these kinds of things from across the world if we choose. I mean, ostensibly we could be in space, or, on one of the shuttles with Elon Musk or something, watching Spy vs. Spia. In fact, maybe they should add that to the entertainment for those who are going up into space.
I think it would be fantastic. Now, you have a very fine-tuned funny bone. And in your intro, I had read about stand-opera. which is the one-woman show, got rave reviews in LA. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I'm going to bring the poster up because I just love it. Like, this
Thank you.
is so out there and funny. What is Stand Opera? What did we miss? Are you going to do another one?
Okay, so stand opera is a combination of stand up and opera. But as you see on the poster itself, how singing wrecked my life, then saved it. It is a one-woman show that I gave where I do a little bit of stand up, a little bit of story, and a little bit of song. And it's really about my life as a singer and the various trials and tribulations I've gone through as a person, and how singing has actually truly enriched my life and made my life, whatever happens with my success, it's made my life just so glorious to be an artist, to be able to channel songs, sing songs of all different kinds, because I do sing a lot of different kinds of music, or I can sing many different kinds of music. I mean, it is just such a blessing. It is such a blessing to be a singer, to love singers, to love music. It's one of the greatest gifts on earth, I think. But also it has a lot of weird things. You know, there's a lot of weird things you go through as a singer, especially if you're a singer in, say, Los Angeles or Hollywood. So I tell some of my, let's call them horror stories from my life as a singer as well. It is my second one-person show. The first show I ever did was called The One, and it is about my love life previous to Carlo. And that one I came up with because as my record label kind of, let's say, transitioned, there was I don't know how many of you remember, but that at the end of the aughts and the beginning of the teens, there was a huge shift in music, in the way it was produced, delivered, distributed, and the way people make money off of music. Anyway, so when that part of my life ended, and at the same time, I was telling people about my dating life, and I thought I was telling them tragedy, but they would laugh their heads off. I realized, oh, hey, there's something funny here. So I ended up writing a one-person show first about my love life, and then this was the second one-person show. And I am actually planning a third one-woman show. I'm debating the topics right now. I'm debating a couple of different ideas. So we'll see. But that's to be announced in time to come.
And so people can follow you on Instagram and on YouTube. Is Instagram the best place for you to announce something like that? Or is it erincarere.com?
I would say erincarere.com for sure will have the information, but I do try to keep up with Instagram. I'm not the best Facebook or Twitter. I mean, I do those things. It's just sort of like, I don't know, kind of, you know, the way I eat Christmas cookies, only at Christmas. No. Meaning, you know, I don't do it for a while, and then I do a lot of it. I eat a lot of Christmas cookies at Christmas, and then I don't eat cookies again for a while. So, hey, Jennifer. I just saw Jennifer in the audience.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. And I have your website address up on the screen. So for anybody who may just be listening to us, go to erins.com, which is www.erincarere.com. That's erincarere.com for all the latest, greatest updates for your third one-woman show that is coming for us really soon. Do you predict that it will be in LA?
I believe that I will actually, yes, I also will work to do several different festivals, theater festivals, one-person festivals. With my previous show, I toured and I did festivals and or one-night onlys in various cabarets where I had existing fans from my music career. So I still have people in various cities across the country and a couple of places in Europe where I may do the one-woman show. As well. I love having a tax write-off reason to take a trip, and something like a one-person show in Portland or Edinburgh. That's a lot of fun. That's a great reason to take a trip, and ye old IRS can help me out there.
That is wonderful thinking. I agree with you. So you had mentioned a few moments ago on a funny note about horror stories of dating, and you realized that they were actually hilarious to the people listening to them, unbeknownst to you. But let's talk about an actual horror story, Alabama Snake. It is the Emmy award-winning film on HBO. Is that correct?
Yes, or HBO Max, I believe, is where it is right now. But yes.
All right. Tell us a little bit, what is Alabama Snake? What's it all about?
Alabama Snake is a documentary horror hybrid. So part of it is a documentary, and part of it has the feel of a horror thriller film because there's a woman in peril storyline played by me. It is a true story about an instance that happened in Scottsboro, Alabama in the 1990s, in which a man who was a preacher, he was a preacher in a Church of God Signs Following church, which for those of you who don't know, I didn't before the project, that is a Pentecostal Christian church where they drink poison, they dance with snakes. There are a few other sort of things they do to prove or to express the extremity of their faith. And it's based on a part of the Bible in Matthew where it says, you know, those who are true believers, they can drink poison and they shall not die. They shall dance with snakes and be protected. So that's why they do these things. And in the story, the wife of the preacher, this is the part I played, the wife of the preacher is bitten by a rattlesnake, almost dies, and her husband is convicted of attempted murder via rattlesnake bite on the wife. Now, there is so much controversy over the story because many people say, no. She plotted against him. His name was Glenn. She plotted against him. She planned it. She did this to get back at him, to get a divorce from him. They weren't happy together, or it's her. She did it. But there are many other people saying, no. He did it. And of course, he was convicted in a court of law. There's a lot of different reasons. People have their theories and their stories around it. The other interesting thing that came from working on that project, well, many interesting things came to me from working on that project, but I got to meet and work with the actual EMTs that actually picked her up the night of the incident. And yes, and it's amazing to hear their stories and hear that she had the real snake bites, and one of them was 48 hours old and she was near death from the snake bite. And if you do watch it, you will see some amazing prosthetic makeup because she was at death's door when she got picked up by the EMTs. So it was an incredible experience. We got to film in Scottsboro, Alabama, and all around there. That part of the country is beautiful, and the people are so nice. And I learned a lot. And I highly recommend it. But I think it's such a fascinating story. And in the movie, you can make your own, you can draw your own conclusions.
I would love to watch the trailer because that is just so mind-blowing. When I saw that project and then we were talking about the project and you had mentioned how you were doing all your own stunts and you were working with snakes, and let's watch the trailer. All right. So this is Alabama Snake with Erin Carere. All right, here we go.
She was going to get baptized.
Holiness Pentecostals go out to a stream or to a lake and baptize by immersion for the remission of sin. Born again by the water and the Spirit. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, and him that believeth not shall be damned.
One time Darlene was in the kitchen, she was cutting and the knife slipped, And Glenda strung out his hand on hers, and it right then it mounted right back up.
Could we spend our time for me got she used to take drugs all the time, but she quit it when I started going to church.
When that got any really bad. We was in bed and I woke up and there's a shadow in there. You know how black dark is. The shadow was darker than that. It was like a human, but it was like darker than dark. I kept saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. It went out the room, he left and we went to the liquor store. He got some more liquor. But he had a gun all the time.
He was gonna kill me, you know. He was drinking heavy, you know.
House, I thought she was going to take me to the hospital. He said, I'd lie. And I almost passed out.
Fish in my face. And I know he would stick my face in there if I didn't reach down to get the snake.
He'd been up 2 or 3 nights. I gave him another pill for vodka and it made him pass out. But I seen the phone. Called in the kitchen and I called the ambulance. But when I walked back to the door, wasn't nobody coming. But I decided to just keep on calling. Finally, dogs was barking. And that's when the ambulance came and got me. They turned off the lights and siren and everything.
Wow. That's chilling. That's
Yes,
to know it's based off a real story.
yeah, it's a real story. And oh, am I muted?
No,
Am I muted?
no, we're good.
No, okay. Okay, great. Sorry, I just I saw the and I had a response based on history. Yeah, when I think watching that back, and I just think about David Kennemer is the name of the EMT. He's just a wonderful guy, and he told me about the night he picked her up and how scared he was that she was not going to make it. And they took her to the hospital. The first hospital they happened to go to was out of the anti-venom. So they had to go all the way to Huntsville, which is another nearby city, not too far, but not exactly close. No, first they went to Huntsville. Then they had to go to another city, maybe Birmingham or something, to get this anti-venom. I feel the fact that this woman survived at all is incredible. And, one of the things that Alabama in the summertime, especially in rural areas, has is a lot of mist and mysticism that can be beautiful, but it really can be used to frightening effect too. So this movie is very ethereal. I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of the filmmakers. I'm proud of everybody involved. And I just feel bad for the people that it actually happened to. If you all watch the movie, you'll see their son in real life is a tremendous part of the film. And he's really put his life together, but it can't have been easy.
Wow. You know what? We have a viewer here saying snakes. It had to be snakes. I don't do snakes at all.
Is that from
were
that
you
Indiana
around
Jones?
Snakes before
Oh,
that?
Oh,
No. How did
Well,
you kind of get comfortable with them?
little caveat. Yes, in a way. I grew up in Minnesota next to a forest where I grew up collecting turtles, frogs, toads, periodically snakes. But in Minnesota, they're tiny little snakes that are not poisonous. It's too cold in Minnesota to be poisonous, first of all.
Mhm.
When time came to film, the production designers showed me the set, how we were going to do it, the director and the stunt coordinator. We had safety meetings. They explained how they were going to do it, how it would all work. And I felt totally comfortable. It was an HBO production, and everybody went out of their way to be very safe and follow as many safety protocols as possible. At one moment, there was a big old daddy snake, maybe this close to my face, and they got all going in there. I was either very brave or very stupid, the second one, because I was just like, oh, it'll be fine. But the minute that big boy came, like, blue, I was so frightened. But now I was in it, so we were going to do it. And I just sort of surrendered to the divine that this was not going to be how I was going to go out. And after filming, the snake handler himself came up to me and said, ma'am, I don't know if anyone's ever told you, but you are a brave woman. And I thought, oh no, if even the snake handler
I know.
is impressed. How dumb am I?
So the snakes that they used on set, are they 100% real deal raw? They have the venom, or is there a way to devenom them?
They
Defang
were
them?
not
What do you do?
devenomed. Do you want me to give away a little movie magic?
do.
Or okay. First of all, they were frozen beforehand. So by freezing the snakes, they think that they are in hibernation.
Hibernation.
And by being hibernated, of course, in hibernation, they're asleep. So they're not really waking up just yet. As of course the day went on, they were pulled. You know how it is on a film set.
Yeah.
They're on set at 5 p.m. We don't get to film them till 9 p.m. whatever the time is. Now, of course, it's also June and July in Alabama, so I don't need to tell you what the weather's like. And they were waking up by the time we were filming, and of course that's great for the film. But it is the case that they were frozen first. Secondly, these are snakes who are pets. I mean, not pets, but they are owned and cared for by the snake handlers. They didn't just grab them out of the wild that day.
Sure.
Thirdly, there were a few other safety protocols in place. So I really did feel very comfortable that I would not be bitten by a poisonous snake and die. But we had anti-venom on set. Their HBO had a big old insurance policy, and SAG, of course, is very careful with their rules about safety. So I felt safe, but I will tell you that in the moment, the first time that big boy came at me, the fear was real. It was real.
I mean, that's great for the film. You were certainly a character that was fearful of this predicament that you were in.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. That's
well, and to add to that too, I mean, there are people who die regularly of snake bites.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few years back, just before we filmed this, there was a preacher who died of snake bite because he was dancing with a snake that, a lot of these snakes are sort of like pets. They're not necessarily just taken out of the wild. They might be taken out of the wild and then kept and cared for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know about always. I can't speak for every single preacher who does this. But there was a young preacher, he couldn't have been more than mid-20s, who had died right before we filmed, and his father had died the same way years before him.
That's just something I've never heard of. I guess it's a thing, huh?
It is a thing. I'd heard of it, but I grew up going to an ELCA Lutheran boxy Swedish church. The craziest we get is putting a little too much sugar in our coffee. So, I shouldn't say crazy, but the most exotic thing we do perhaps is singing a country song at church rather than a classical song or something.
Wow. Wow. Well,
So
congratulations on the work that you did there. And I know so many people started commenting going, oh my gosh, wow, that's amazing. You're amazing. You know, I would have truly freaked out. I'm just reading some of the comments here. So I know a lot of people are going to be looking for Alabama Snake, which is available on HBO Max. And you play the preacher's wife. So just congratulations on that. Congratulations on Spy versus Spia. I can't wait to follow you on the website, erincarere.com, as well as you're on Instagram, you're on IMDb, you're everywhere, right? You're YouTube, everywhere. And we're all going to be watching to find out when us, who did not know about the crowdfunding, to be able to get us such a link to watch it. I really want to watch it. It looks hilarious. It looks like a dose of what we all need. You know,
thank you.
We need some content that's just purely funny and uplifting.
Yes.
So thank you.
This is what we aimed for. Yes, we didn't realize at the time, because of course, as you mentioned, we filmed, you know, before COVID, but we just wanted to create something really fun.
And it is. It looks like so much fun. I mean, it's going to make everybody want to be an actress or an actor. Like those are
or an opera singing spy.
Yeah, those types of pieces. The work is, it just makes it look so effortless and free and fun. And so tell everybody before we say goodnight, again, where are the best places to follow you and stay in touch?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, so I am at erincarere.com. You can find me on Instagram. It's Erin Carere LA. You can go to spyvspia.com if you want to know specifically about Spy versus Spia related things or specific things. And I am on Facebook and I am on Twitter, but I don't necessarily do that as often. I'm trying, but I would say Instagram and the website. Also, youtube.com has some of my music, and it's got the trailer for Spy vs. Spia if you want to watch that. So that's what I would recommend. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for your time this evening. This has been wonderful getting to know you. And I feel really honored that you had some moment in time and space for me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. All right. We'll see you again soon because you have your third show that's coming up, the One Woman Show. I want to know about that. I want to know when all of the rest of us can watch Spy versus Spia and everything else that you're involved in. So, I mean, we're friends. Now just let me know.
Yeah.
You can come on anytime that you would like, and I'd be honored to have you on again in the future.
Thank you so much. Yay, I will. And the audience doesn't know this, but we're both kindred spirits, which means fans of Anne of Green Gables too. So anytime you want to talk about puff sleeves, I'm in.
I love Anne of Green Gables. Anybody out there, you also have followed Anne of Green Gables. Maybe you watched it. I remember catching it when it was on PBS. And they started just showing all the different episodes. It really wasn't ever shot to be a film. I believe it has been remastered more into like film bites, but it was the episodes, each little, and then it just like went on season after season after season. There's so much content, but the books are fabulous. So yes,
great.
We found that out in the green room, just on the spot. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Erin, thank you for coming on to the show. I hope that you have a wonderful evening out there in LA. It's got to be just breezy and beautiful. This is a really nice time of year out there.
Thank you. Looks like the sun is setting.
Yes. Well, enjoy the sunset. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for staying engaged with your comments and your likes. She has such a brilliant works behind her and so much talent. So thank you. That was really a joy to be able to interview her and interact with you guys. As always, we are blessed. You are blessed. I love you, and I will see you very, very soon.